Good afternoon. There we go. We are live. We are live and kicking. We're live and kicking at 2:24 in the afternoon, not 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a shame, right? You know what? I ended up learning a bit about that whole thing, and I was called. Got a text message from the rabbi. Last name's Cohen. All right, I'm Jewish. Not only that, I'm a Kohen. One of those kind of things. Turns out during the Passover celebration, Pesach celebration, there's a prayer that can only be said by a Cohen. And wouldn't you know it, I got the call, or I got the text, I should say, about showing up. And you know, it's kind of funny. It is just kind of funny what the whole thing was about. So the whole idea behind Passover, big picture thing, right? That was when Moses said the river split and the Jews got out of Egypt, and then the river came back together again, and Pharaoh and everybody else drowned in the river. All right, so it's about starting over. It seems like as many of the holidays are celebrated at this point in time. Some starting over, new beginning, kind of a thing. But one of the things that was mentioned in there was the fact of, you ready for this? About actually seeing the light in the darkness, seeing the light in the darkness. Now, again, I don't have to be sitting here being Jewish to say that. Like, go pick a religion. Go pick a motivational speaker. Go pick. Well, I don't know, like Tomato Talk. Advancing through obstacles, seeing the light in the dark, seeing what can be, having the faith to work through those challenges that we all face, and we all face them flat out. We all face them. Sometimes I think, actually, many times I think, and again, this was kind of mentioned, by the rabbi this afternoon too. The whole idea is like, if you pray a lot and you're good at prayer and everything's good, it's like it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be. But is it supposed to be bad? Like, why is that? Why is that? It's God's will, right? I know. I've heard that, time and again by a whole lot of people. Okay, let's go with that. It's God's will. But why? Why? Phrased again differently depending upon religion, all the rest of that kind of stuff. But there's a lesson to be learned in there. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with all of this stuff. I'm gonna go turn on the comments. We'll go as that goes. Douglas King, how are you, my friend? So, look, I agree with that, right? We go through, if everything's always hunky dory and everything's great and there is no problems in anything, I don't personally, I think that's unrealistic. Personally, if you get somebody that's got that kind of a blessed life, it's a rarity that they really, really do. And I mean, they really do. Not they think they do, but they really do. Because there's so many people out there with their heads in the sand, like, it's like, oh, everything's great, it's all good, it's all good. It's like, something. It's not always all good. It's not always great. And my guess is, and this can go into the motivational speaker world, or this could go into the world of those that says everything all wonderful and it's always meant to be, everything's meant to be. It's like, let's go take a step back a little bit and see why it is. Not why everything's meant to be, but why they have that kind of an attitude. What did they struggle through to get to that point? How were they impacted by somebody else along the way to go and see it? What maybe scared the living daylights out of them to make that to make them think that way, to put all that energy and effort into it? There's always something. There's always something that makes that happen. So today, I mean, even this thing I do over here, right? So what was the problem with it? Well, the problem was one of the problems. Forget about starting late. Is I keep getting by. I get notified by this company, something like All Star or something like that. I'm thinking, oh, things are good. Somebody wants me to. I want to get paid. Somebody's going to pay me some sort of a thing because of all the videos I've done and stuff like that. That wasn't the case. What it was is I was getting notifications that I'm using copyrighted material in the opening over there in that song, the Tomato Talk song, which I'm not really a fan of, but I'm pulling that off of the system that I use. I use StreamYard. I sent them a message on that. It's like they're flagging me for copyrighted material. It's ridiculous. So they're cutting out those 30 seconds in the beginning on the thing. It's like ridiculous, frustrating. Yeah, it's like, come on. So I sent both of them StreamYard a message, the other one. I heard back once from the other one. It's like, oops, okay, that's wrong. But then I get another one. So don't bother me with this stuff. And I sent a message over to StreamYard. I figured they should know about it. So they haven't gotten back to me. And they get back really quick, really quickly. So my guess is they're looking into that a little bit further, and that kind of thing. But I was like, okay, I don't want to be bothered with that challenge. I don't want to be bothered. Granted, this is not a big one here. So let's not let's not start comparing it to some other things that are out there, but challenge. So what's the opportunity? So I tried to figure out another way to get this thing started. I figured, man, I'm so late over here with the 1 o'clock, right? It's like, what's the difference if it takes me another half hour? Doesn't matter. I mean, usually I'm throwing this thing on at, a couple minutes in front of 1 o'clock and then just doing it. So can't really think about how can I do it better if I've got 3 minutes. I think yesterday I started at 4 minutes to go. By the time I get done typing, it was 3 minutes to go. What am I experimenting with? Absolutely nothing. Perhaps I should do some stuff on the weekend. Good idea. Yeah, good idea. Will I? Probably not. Just probably not. I'm tired, tell you the truth. But I did notice that I could share files on one of these things, this shared screen. Now I could share one screen at a time for a Facebook or LinkedIn page or website. I don't think I could share more than that. And I was thinking about some of the workaround with the, having a calling in on my phone and using that. It's like, but what I have now learned is that I could share a couple of PowerPoints and just line them up. And I could also share a video. Pretty interesting. Why did I learn that? Because I'm smart enough to go ask for help? No. Doug, we can keep our comments to a minimum on that one, but no, I'm not smart enough to go ask for help. I'm not smart enough to prepare and outline the thing and do a whiteboard, a storyboard, on today's program, which I really should do because, my friends over at All Things Digital have a way I could promote the show, but how am I going to promote something? I don't know what I'm going to talk about until it's 3 minutes in front of 1 o'clock. So, hey, it would be a smart idea to kind of storyboard out in some respect, at least, the week. Maybe a different topic each week, something like a different topic each day throughout the week. So share something like that. But I realized I could put up these different videos there. So you know what? That's pretty cool. So I have the next one all lined up to go. But I also just found it fascinating walking into the shul there today. So I get the text message from the rabbi, come at 12 o'clock. Doesn't say why. Nothing. And I've been missing a few of the mornings. Go 2 or 3 times a week in the morning. The guys get together in the morning for the morning minion. 10 people. Sometimes I'm the 10th, and I live the closest. I get the call, to go and do it. But look, great group of people, and and this goes across the board. Different groups of people that are always constantly looking to better themselves. It's all good. And that goes across the group and over here too. They're spiritually trying to better themselves. The thing is that I don't understand Hebrew. I don't understand any of the prayers. And I was set in my mind that the next time I show up there, I'm going to speak to the rabbi afterwards. Say, look, I go. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I appreciate the camaraderie, all the rest of that stuff. I know a few of these. I actually know a few of these people from outside of the the shul. Got to know a few it in, that kind of thing. But it's like, why am I going? And today I go, and I find that since I'm a Kohen, there was a prayer that had to be said by me because I'm the only Kohen in the group there today. In fact, I was the only Kohen there for the week during the whole thing. Is that still the reason for me to go because of a last name kind of thing? Nah, not really. Not really. But it just really gave me the motivation. And that's why I put the post up in there. the motivation to work through some challenge, some like challenge. Again, it's is minor in the scheme of things, but challenges, getting up, going, why do I go, and stuff like that. You get motivated by different things. So in this case, it was the motivated by the camaraderie thing, the appreciation of participating in that group setting. And that really becomes a key to success in everything, right? Definitely becomes a key to success. Leadership skills. Again, that's a program that's going to be touched on, on a radio show by a few of the guys, not the religious guys, but maybe they are religious. It's the dragster folks. Yeah, yeah, it's the dragster folks, and they're very cool. The two of these guests are just going to be unbelievable. This is the fast cars, quarter mile, whole thing, top fuel, pro mod, whole hours, and that kind of stuff. About leadership skills. So maybe, look, you're driving 250 miles an hour down a quarter mile track. You might have become very spiritual as you're going down the track over there. So maybe you're just a little religious, in that respect. But the thing is, this is a part of the team, part of that group, being appreciated, appreciating somebody else for what it is they're doing. Because you don't know. They didn't know. They had no idea that my next conversation was that I don't think I'm coming anymore because I don't know why I'm here. One of the things that I find fascinating with, with the Long Island Drags from the racetrack and that street is like they know I don't know what it is that they're really doing. Translate that one out to I've never driven a race car. I make some analogy over here with my little 4-cylinder 74 Capri that did 50 miles an hour, and I'm speaking to these men and women that are driving down the track doing, for the faster cars at least, 100, 100 and a quarter. When they go to a quarter mile track, they're doing well in excess of that. Yet, I'm on the microphone. Pete Scalza, Pete, the track operator. You know what? In some respects, I'm on that mic. I am the voice of him. I am the voice of the track. Especially if I do my video. It's the outside world, doing all that stuff. Appreciate it knowing that not that I don't fit in, but from outside. So it's a welcoming group. So let's turn this around over here. There are a lot of welcoming groups out there. Appreciate that fact. Because that really is, I think, look, I can speak on behalf of me, but that's what keeps people motivated. Could be a nonprofit, could be an organization, could be some sort of a project you're doing with your friends. Could be your career. Could be that business that you're working for. You go in, you're going to work, you're doing these things. Question really is that are you appreciated, which is not necessarily your responsibility, it's somebody else's, but are you appreciating the people that are around you and the work that they're doing? The effort may not be the success. It's the effort they're putting into it. You want to look at my success on the microphone at the track? I'm sure, every 15 minutes I'm saying something I shouldn't say, getting a car number wrong or a car wrong, or mispronouncing names and not knowing the stories of some of the drivers and stuff like that. Actually, not even knowing the story of most of the drivers. So it's the effort, though. So it's the effort of the people that are surrounding you. Now, let's clearly turn this thing around. Are you creating that environment? Unknowingly, the rabbi today created that environment. Not just I'm the 10th guy, you need 10 people for the million. Not that just I'm the 10th guy showing up. All right, why am I appreciated? Because I'm 10. I'm a body. This one was a little bit different. I'm like, go ahead, man, I can do this. And it wasn't just me, it was that role needed to be fulfilled. So it was a little bit different there. But it was what they did afterwards. It was shaking my hand. They really appreciated, big smile that I was able to make it, and that kind of thing. That was nice. Same thing with the track folks. It's a big smile. Somebody coming up to me afterwards says, "Hey, you know what? You did a nice job. It was good hearing you. Thought it was funny when you were talking about some of those terms that are not really racing terms and stuff like that." or I heard you in the car. When it was the two brothers or father son, I didn't know. There was I don't think there was an age listed on the sheet, or I forgot to even look. Maybe who knows what it was, and that kind of thing. But I could tell you, Toastmasters the same type thing. It's a matter of appreciating people. Sometimes it's not just appreciating the people that are there. Now let's go back to that light and the dark. There are some people that don't show. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't show. They mentally don't show up to work, even though they're physically there. They physically don't show up to work on a project they said they were going to do. What do? You call them up and berate them for not showing up? Nah, that's never going to get them there. You're not dangling a paycheck in front of them. It's not going to happen. And if that's the way you motivate people, when you are or do have the ability to dangle a paycheck in front of them, there's no loyalty there. Uh, Definitely no loyalty there. Loyalty comes from appreciating what they do. So are you? Are you creating an environment that does appreciate, that does recognize, that does pat somebody on the back for some of the efforts that they are putting into it? Even if it's not successful, they're trying. And that really becomes very important to not only their success, but your own success too. So take a look at that. Make sure you're creating that place, creating that environment where we could put the whole thing together. That's it. That's it for that one. So I just thought it was pretty darn apparent, today. All right, so here's one of the videos that I saw when I got all this stuff on Google Drive that I was able to tack on to this thing. And since next week we get an opportunity, we're getting an opportunity, I think, to speak to the high school students over at Sachem North in a way that the teachers don't, the principal doesn't, and maybe people, in that environment, maybe the parents do, maybe the parents don't, stuff like that. But you know, really get a chance to share with them what's possible, and how their personalities match up and things like that. So I ran across this video. This was a presentation I did at one of the high schools, and it's funny. Yeah, Dan, you're 100% on there, man. It is not just physically done; it's mentally done, and I think it's the mental game. That's it. You know, yeah, it's that's where you get the most out of people. Not everything we do is physical, but definitely the most out of people. But so here was one of the things oh, it's one of my old ring lights. I put it back there. This was the opening comments I made in one of these high schools, and a lot of times I'll do the opening comments, not really representing a business. I'll let the hiring businesses do that whole thing. So let's see how this works out. I'd be curious to see anyhow. All right, so let's throw that on the screen.
Like
And
to work
that
at a company like Walmart? What exactly is it like to work at a company like Amneal, or even to go with the Army? And I gave a presentation to them. I had no idea about the amount of possibilities that were there. It's the idea that today, if you walk away with the knowledge and the thought of what are the possibilities of not the finite career or working with a finite company, but the possibilities within that company that fit you, that fit exactly who you are and what you should be doing. That's a great thing from today. That's really what you want to do. So those questions that you're going to ask me, what is it like? Think about the personality side of what is it like to do something. What is it like to be working for a large company? What is it like to be working for a small company? What is it like to work for your own company? Those are all considerations. And do you have the personality and the skill set within you to do it? And if you don't have it within you to do it, what are you willing to do to get that skill set? If you want to manage your own company, you have to understand what it's like to manage a company. Where do you get that knowledge from?
actually doing it. So there was that one. Let's take that one away. We'll see how that goes. I'll see if I can pull that one up. I'll watch that one after to see if it works. I see my head does fall down quite frequently though. So we'll get back to the moosing thing. It didn't make it that way. I also see it's a little bit gray now. That wasn't that many years ago. It was pre-COVID I did that. What was funny there, and again, and this is why I didn't want to mention the school, is that I did that presentation with Gary Brown. I'll mention his name, Gary Brown. Gary played for the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champs, and stuff like that. And this is where networking comes in. I wound up leaving on this note. But this is where networking comes in. So I spoke to a friend, Christine Matheson. Christine, hey, I was asked to do the opening comments at this school, and it's Brentwood School. Doesn't matter. At Brentwood School. And it's like, I don't know, I'm looking for some way to, kind of connect with the students and some things, trying to work through that. And I just kind of left it out there. Didn't really ask for anything, but just gave her an opportunity to talk. And she said, I have a friend that would be perfect for that, Gary Brown. I was like, okay. She said, Gary graduated from the school. It's like, oh, that's perfect. There we go. So there's a nice tie-in with the school and it works and that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, that was good enough for me. We'll go figure out how to make it work and the rest of that stuff. So I go meet with Gary. Turns out, Gary played on the Super Bowl team for the Green Bay Packers. Really didn't know. Gary is a rather imposing figure. He's like 3 times my size, maybe even 4, but 3 times my size. Maybe back in the day it was 4. Yeah, I say 3 at this point in time. Big guy. So we get there, and he's like, I want to go over to the gym. Fine. Go over to the gym. His jersey's hanging on the wall. His jersey's on the wall. I'm like, okay. So like, that's fine. So we did that presentation twice that day. The gentleman you saw in the back over there, and he didn't know. And so it's not really it's not a knock on him, but I just found it to be hilarious. This is one of these know your audience things. Even if you're not the person bringing people up, but know your audience, know who it is that's coming into your school, and Dan, yeah, that's 100% mental, 100%. All right. So the principal made some comment in the beginning on the whole thing. And he's like, here today we got Joel Kronberg, CEO, Brian Cohen, and Gary Brown, they'll be making opening comments. So we did. Joel did it. Then I did my thing over there. And then Gary spoke. All right. Second go round. The principal was told, figured out, whatever it was, who Gary was. Besides the Super Bowl thing, is that he's got his jersey hanging on the wall. I ceased to exist. I was just completely cut out. It's like, oh, today Gary Brown will be presenting. He'll be talking to you about blah, blah, blah. Whatever he said. But it was, I thought that was just funny. So maybe he didn't include me. The principal didn't include me as much on the whole thing. But certainly, man, I got such a huge kick out of that whole deal. Gary was terrific. Absolutely terrific. And he's here on the island, lives on the island. Great with the students, all the rest of that stuff. I figured, once the students knew that it was him and the jersey on the wall and the rest of that stuff, and I don't know what they were told in advance, they had no interest in talking to me, which was fine. My thing on these things is just to get them to think. Whether it's this school, some of the other schools, April 27th, we get another opportunity to do it. Speak to the students about thinking about who they are, where they want to go. Because when they do that, and if they really truly have the confidence in themselves and understand what it is that they're really good at, you get somebody that really loves to use the camera. Now all of a sudden, especially with somebody who wants to use that camera, what is that person going to do? If that person really wants to be successful, they're going to point that camera and use the camera in a way to make other people look good. That's teamwork. That's a beautiful thing. That's appreciation. The whole thing goes right along with everything I meant and stated in the beginning of this thing. That's it. That really is it. And if we can instill that in our students, that understanding of who they are, what they're good at, what direction they want to go in, they're going to gain a lot more confidence into that aspect of it and much more focus on grades and classes and what electives to take, whether or not to get involved in some after school activity or not get involved with one activity and get involved in another, volunteer time and do the rest of that stuff. And the more they do that, the more they interact with groups of people, the more they're going to understand the fact that we do need to be appreciated. They need to be appreciated. We need to share that thought, that idea that nothing is done alone. Not a thing in this world is ever done alone. It takes a group of people, and it takes somebody to reach out their hand every once in a while when you have fallen down and you need a little bit of assistance getting up, or when you reach out to somebody else and give them a little assistance in getting up and moving forward. Christine helped me out with my little dilemma about, how do I connect with the students? That was great. Over here, starting late, added something over there. All this stuff adds to it. And that's really where we can make a massive difference with the students, with others. It's by reaching out, sharing a little bit of support. We may need it every once in a while. Other people need it every once in a while to go and do. And if we continue to do that, this whole thing will become a much better world as we go through. It is a bit of a challenge to make that work, but it shouldn't be too much of a challenge to make us individually work and to really take a look at some of the things that we're doing and figure out what we could learn when we have those dark clouds surrounding us and figure out what that brightness is in there. Because I truly do believe that we learn a lot more from those challenges that we go through and that we grow from there. We wind up learning more. We learn about it from a different perspective. All right. Just like if you know how to do something and then you try to teach it to somebody else, it's different than just knowing it and doing it yourself. It's tougher to teach. But if we go through that lesson of what it is and we have problems along the way, when we do go to teach it to somebody else, when we do go to speak to somebody else about what it's like to get through a challenge, we know it firsthand. And that's going to make us stronger leaders, much more relatable, much more sincere in everything that we do. So when you get the opportunity to instill that in other people, seize the moment. Seize the moment. And if somebody does it for you, you'll let them know. They may not have any clue in the world, just like the experience I had today. No clue in the world that I'm like getting a little cold on the idea. Let's put it that way. Or, you get somebody that's not really showing up for a group and stuff like that, but they may really appreciate that phone call, the pat on the back. Say, look, I know you're not coming, but we got a special meeting, got a couple of people coming, guests and stuff like that. It'd be nice for you to attend. Just attend. That's it. So make those phone calls. Reach out to somebody. You never know what kind of a difference you're going to make in their life. And you just might be the light in their darkness, which will help them see that they can work through whatever it is they're working through and gain a better experience out of it. And then maybe one day pass that along to somebody else. It's all there. All right. So we're at just in front of 30 minutes. I'm going to end this thing right smack on time. Try something a little different. And have a great weekend. Enjoy. Again, we got the school career day coming up, April 27th. May 1st is a Sunday. We got the walk for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. May 5th, 6th is the Strictly Business event. May 26th is the HIA trade show. And every day is a chance to help somebody improve upon themselves and for you to continue to work through whatever darkness you may be facing. Have a great weekend. Back at it again next week. Remember, speak well, speak often, and live inspired.